Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Of Scribes and Men. I am your mad poet of thousands, Sam. And buckle up, buttercups, because this is probably going to be either the second or third most, depending on how Volume 90 turns out. Um, Most intense volume that I will probably write along this journey. It's not going to be the most intense, but it is going to be the second or third. If you were to ask me what's going to be the most intense, wait until volume 50. Wait until volume 50, and that's all I'll say about that. That volume 50 is going to be the most intense. But 100 Villanelles, wrote them all in 10 days. If you would like a document or PDF copy of this, so that you can read it in your own time without listening to me read through it, let me know. And I will, of course, tell you which Villanelle in here is my favorite. Um, but yeah, this is going to be a bit of a doozy. And like I said, if you want a copy, let me know. Eventually, I will have all my volumes out there for people to read in one way or another. I haven't figured out how yet. I don't know if I'm going to do it through like throw them all onto Google Docs and then like just have like a mass link that people can go onto. I haven't figured it out. If you guys have like the best way or have ideas, let me know. But I digress. Let's get into these Villanelles. There's 100 pages. This is going to be a lengthy one. Oh, and I have named them all too. Oh, what is life to be covered in shame, to then come inside and gift us its pain. Treated thus as if it's all just a game. We cry to time as if it's ours to claim. For a moment of youth we try to gain. Oh, what is life to be covered in shame? Temptation's desire of fortune and fame, a sacrifice of blood from the insane. Treated thus as if it's all just a game. All for a taste, who's to say you're not you're who all for a taste, who's to say you're one to blame, although this status you long to obtain. Oh, what is life to be covered in shame? From the smiles on faces, what's in a name? Remembered not by those no longer sane. Treated thus as if it's all just a game. Did you really think these you could go tame, who all lack the means to go and abstain? Oh, what is life to be covered in shame? Treated thus as if it's all just a game. The sailors sing for the pleasures at bay, away from the waves and the siren song, before they drown at sea their souls to weigh. Time is amiss at sea when gone all day, their bonds beholden to feel like they belong. The sailors sing for the pleasures at bay, caught in a doldrum where no ships shall sway. Revelry to panic when all went wrong, before they drown at sea their souls to weigh. Now the ghosts rise with haunting tales to say, with when memories come with the even song, the sailors sing for the pleasures at bay. The clouded judgment now on display, mixed in with desires for which they long, before they drown at sea their souls to weigh. The siren smiles, for she had her way, deceived by illusions she would prolong. The sailors sing for pleasures at bay, before they drown at sea their souls to weigh. And yes, I do still have the cough, so you'll have to excuse that. It's a progress thing. Step right up, you men between gods and kings. No humility to spare, and you dare go out to claim. Okay, step right up, you men between gods and kings. No humility to spare, and you dare go out to claim your spot with angels' wings. Seek you glory in the song a bard sings, to claim the heart of a maiden so fair. Step right up, you men between gods and kings. Douse yourself then within the youthful springs. Then, as you wash your body with great care, go out to claim your spot with angels' wings. Hide your eyes of pride with all manners of strings, then no man who sees come to mock and stare. Step right up, you men between gods and kings. You who claim to hold up all magic of things, supernatural gifts given so rare, go out to claim your spot with angels' wings. Do you know the hubris held in your rings? As they stare at your soul with teeth laid bare, step right up, you men between gods and kings. Go out to claim your spot with angels' wings. Tale of lies at the edge of a smile, hidden beyond where shadows can't see. A spark of light and you're one to beguile. Within an eye of delight all the while, you know the manner of which souls to free. Tales of lies at the edge of a smile. To the emperor's new clothes with your style, only to go bow as you take the knee. A spark of light and you're one to beguile. So who shall you entertain in denial, unable to accept the ways things will be? Tales of lies at the edge of a smile. Now face to face with all that you revile, made with deals from the emperor's decree, a spark of light and you're one to beguile. Caught in hand with land ever so fertile, from all the bodies under the hanging tree, tales of lies at the edge of a smile, a spark of light and you're one to beguile. All bowed down to worship these men of bones, who denied the truth for the lies they seek, as they carved on through all the dead men's moans. Greed came in as they sought the blood-red thrones, and drank from the souls they tried to speak. All bowed down to worship these men of bones. We watched them laugh in towers of marble stones, and what could we do when they made us weak, as they carved on through all these dead men's moans? They listened to sermons of ancient tones in their incensed room so the blood won't leak, all bowed down to worship these men of bones. And their boats drowned out all those mournful groans among the rotting corpses where flesh does reek, as they carved on through all the dead men's moans. A contract for a soul for the spirit's loans, with hollowed homes where floors do creak, all bow to worship these men of bones, as they carved on through all the dead men's moans. Upon the ocean where the waves do flow, while under the spanning clear blue sky, will we ever truly know where our time will go? With lessons from tales all the sailors know, and secrets kept of which they all must lie, upon the ocean where the waves do flow. We brushed it away like an evening show, as we watched the dock where the seagulls fly. Will we truly know where our time will go? Yet omens remain with the voice of a crow, they heard from the sound of a mermaid's cry, upon the ocean where the waves do flow. Where many once sunk into the depths below, holding ghostly colors from those who die, will we truly ever know where our time will go? And from these tales of melancholic woe, where nature claims even all those who try, upon the ocean where the waves do flow, will we truly know where our time will go? Tick tock, the sound of the grandfather clock, with shadows cast upon the midnight hall, where all shadows creep and all shadows flock, towards the fear of the mind for things to mock, besides flashes of light on a hallowed wall. Tick tock, the sound of the grandfather clock. And across the windows the branches knock, before embraced in night by a single doll, where all shadows creep and all shadows flock. Abandoned by age, where all things grow and stalk, noise unheard by the voice of a silent call. Tick tock, the sound of the grandfather clock. Now alone in the woods where the banshees talk, as the light of the sun is rare to fall, where all shadows creep and all shadows flock, stands the mansion where none still dare to walk through, though the guardian still here standing tall. Tick tock, the sound of the grandfather clock, where all shadows creep and all shadows flock. The fox of the wood was quick with her grin, with movements so enchanted, so coy and sly, for the fools to give chase, but never to win. With all their jokes and tales she tells her kin, revealing the essence of tricks to apply. The fox of the wood was quick with her grin, caught up by the sound of a violin, enthralled to attention she knew but why, for fools to give chase, but never to win. Laughter was heard when she reveled Laughter was heard when she revealed her skin. When they had seen her, then who could deny? The fox of the wood was quick with her grin. She tempted with lust and triggered their sin, stoked the fire of all those who tried to go lie, for the fools to give chase, but never to win. Her voice to haunt using seduction within, when none have realized they never should try. The fox of the wood was quick with her grin, for the fools to give chase, but never to win. Pressed against the body, licked up by fire, with touches of skin revealing a sigh, all for a taste of consuming desire. And an essence of lust taking one higher, within the bedroom floor where clothes do lie, pressed against the body, licked up by fire. The bard shall sing with a lute or a lyre, as they know the system none can deny, all for a taste of consuming desire. So what is the need to go and inquire? No need to ask questions before you can try. Pressed against the body, licked up by fire. And what need to be in such fancy attire, when all know the answer when someone asks why, all for a taste of consuming desire. Now give in to the one who comes to acquire, with a touch of her hand, the pleasure's the sky, pressed against the body, licked up by fire, all for a taste of consuming desire. Dance of an ember placed on a sacrifice, all to ease the cries of the people's plea. For what on a pyre would truly suffice? Cost of immortality, what is the price? A path displayed to become young and free. Dance of an ember placed on a sacrifice. Offerings from mass who come to entice, within shrouded faces that none should see. For what on a pyre would truly suffice? All to close the eyes, now wouldn't that be nice, to embrace the dark as you come to be, dance of an ember placed on a sacrifice. Heed not the warning that will come in thrice, for that one should wake and suddenly flee, for what on a pyre would truly suffice. Drown in your pleasure, yes, drown in your vice, and sure as you witness, as you will agree, dance of an ember placed on a sacrifice, for what on a pyre would truly suffice. A moment of fire, and what should you miss? Along all the words that you should not. Let me start that again. A moment of fire, and what should you miss? Along all the words that you could not say, placed with a lover withholding a kiss. All traced with their hand while running from bliss, your actions moving slowly, caught with dismay. A moment of fire, and what should you miss? Denied and lost, what melancholy is this, that you linger among windows every day, placed with a lover withholding a kiss. Now your vacant eyes that stare at the abyss, with a mind flickering with nothing to say, a moment of fire, and what should you miss? Do not chase after your heart, that would be remiss, as love has moved with temporal delay, placed with a lover withholding a kiss. Life brings you such joy you shouldn't dismiss, to open its paths and show you the way. A moment of fire, and what should you miss? Placed with a lover withholding a kiss. Were the streets I traveled none I could see, from the place to place where the memories fade, had I the power to stop, where would I be? Through the barren lands with the sky so free, and the places of birth I had once played, were the streets that I traveled none I could see. Spending long hours in trucks leaping with glee, across the shores where we all had once stayed, had I the power to stop, where would I be? Connections made and we could not foresee, their fickle nature like fog that had strayed, were the streets that I traveled, none I could see. We made our homes in places only to flee, foundations so fragile not properly laid. Had I the power to stop, where would I be? If I had a choice, then I think I'd agree with all the places and memories I've made. Were the streets that I traveled and none I could see. Had I the power to stop, where would I be? You once were a child before you were a man, back when the world was bright and felt new. Now stumbling around like this wasn't the plan. Oh, how fellows gathered within their own clan, playing together while enjoying the view. You once were a child before you were a man. Gone now with the rest who search as they ran, who seek the talents of things they could do, now stumbling around like this wasn't the plan. Did we ever know when it all began? While going through games we all would pursue. You once were a child before you were a man. From out of the fire and into the pan. Confused, lost innocence, not having a clue, now stumbling around like this wasn't the plan. What should we say about this minor lifespan as we wander around our questions of who? You once were a child before you were a man, now stumbling around like this wasn't the plan. What dreams of an artist when they desire sleep? Who stare at a canvas like stars through the night. When imagination comes out from the deep, with new tools to acquire, forever to keep, painting things not always picked up by sight. What dreams of an artist when they desire sleep? All through dark corners for their minds to go creep, hidden in shadows while shading the light. When imagination comes out from the deep, drip fed their caffeine while their coffee does seep as they revel through their nocturnal delight. What dreams of an artist when they desire sleep? And what should it be to consider them cheap, who bring emotional storms with all their might, when imagination comes out from the deep? Let your eyes gaze, embrace, and let yourself weep, as understanding dawns with your insight. What dreams of an artist when they desire sleep, when imagination comes out from the deep? Chasing our dreams and now we're free falling, while hyenas are laughing, asking us why, as we reveal the bones of our calling. Our starlit eyes become so enthralling, raising our desires to reach the moon and sky, chasing our dreams and now we're free falling. So many times, bruised on the ground crawling, onlookers shake their heads, watching us try, as we reveal the bones of our calling. Another face of failure, and we're stalling, questioning the choices between you and I, chasing our dreams, and now we're free falling. We have no time to let your thoughts start sprawling, moving past shadows of normality's lie, as we reveal the bones of our calling. Truly, there is nothing more appalling than watching each twinkle that begins to die, chasing our dreams, and now we're free falling, as we reveal the bones of our calling. To one last breath upon the rising dawn, when last of the night has faded away, we saw one last sight before all was gone. All things change as time eventually moves on, as life passes through both the night and day, to one last breath upon the rising dawn. Moment in a canvas an artist had drawn, worth 1,000 words the words could not say. We saw one last sight before all was gone. And all the cute creatures we all would fawn, no longer remaining there for us to play, to one last breath upon the rising dawn. Aged now, watching youth play on the lawn, for one more soul for us to go and pray, we saw one last sight before all was gone. Our tired eyes now coming in with a yawn, while embracing the warmth of the sun's ray, to one last breath upon the rising dawn, we saw one last sight before all was gone. Welcome to the circus of creation. Allow your mind to light up and go wild as we bring you a taste of elation. We shall become your next best fixation. All that you see, there shall be nothing mild. Welcome to the circus of creation. So many things to enjoy with your duration, with pleasures that would blow the mind of a child as we bring you the taste of elation. No need to leave when we're your salvation. Towards all our guests we've gone and profiled. Welcome to the circus of creation. Relax and let go of your frustration. Let yourself ease and not in and become beguiled as we bring you a taste of elation. Now take a seat of your coronation with a crown you magnificently styled. Welcome to the circus of creation as we bring you a taste of elation. For the weight of the world before it froze, when nobody would give a helping hand, hearing the mocking from a murder of crows. Some went and sought the answer no one knows, searching through the nearest and most distant land, for the weight of the world before it froze. Lost in delusion, many would oppose, as the people would try and make the final stand, hearing a mocking from a murder of crows. They ignore the prophets dressed in ragged clothes, becoming blind and deaf to their demand for the weight of the world before it froze. Deeds of the corrupt the people would expose, blindsided by those they could not command, hearing the mocking from a murder of crows. Now a way to save the call for heroes arose, coming together with whom they would ban for the weight of the world before it froze, hearing the mocking from a murder of crows. Lost in the dark to be staring at fear, when the shadows come to snuff out the light, where one step forward would make everything clear. Comfort comes like a tempting siren to hear. No need to move when surrounded by delight. Lost in the dark to be staring at fear. Now to distract and divide while drawing near, for where would one move while in a false fight, where one step forward would make everything clear. Hostage situation with all you hold dear, and thick is that hand that you try to bite, lost in the dark to be staring at fear. All those noises as the enemies jeer, as you try and block the faces from your sight, where one step forward would make everything clear. Finally, a breath of fresh air when help would appear to guide your way through the darkest night, lost in the dark to be staring at fear, where one step forward would make everything clear. Sitting on the floor, staring at the ceiling, as the world then starts spinning around me, and I cannot recognize this feeling. With all the things I could now be dealing, with all the questions of who I could be, sitting on the floor, staring at the ceiling. When for a moment I thought I'd be healing, at the clouds departed, letting me be free, and I cannot recognize this feeling. Matters of love, which would be appealing, with all the thoughts imagination could see, sitting on the floor, staring at the ceiling, where all thoughts of such would send me squealing, with a flushed face while shaking my legs in glee, and I cannot recognize this feeling. If only the future would come revealing, at least I'd be lost within my mind's endless sea, sitting on the floor, staring at the ceiling, and I cannot recognize this feeling. Within the tempest winds a howling cry, beyond the sea of the forgotten souls, where the spirits wander as none can die. Upon that island that sailors deny, hearing the midnight song when their church bell tolls, within the tempest winds a howling cry. I suppose there should be a comma there to within the tempest winds a howling cry. There we go. Let me just... There we go. That makes much more sense. So let's start that over. Within the tempest winds, a howling cry, beyond the sea of the forgotten souls, where the spirits wander as none can die. Upon that island that sailors deny, hearing the midnight song when the church bells tolls. Within the tempest winds, a howling cry. Sacrifice of heathens under crimson sky, before the wrath of God comes to tip his bowls, where the spirits wonder as none can die. What good matters where all the good men lie, who all try to achieve their valiant goals, within the tempest winds a howling cry. So, we have the widows with their mournful sigh, among the graves where the morning fog rolls, where the spirits wonder as none can die. Should we avoid where the angels would fly, while leashed up in chains among their controls, within the tempest winds a howling cry, where the spirits wander as none can die. In whom shall it be with our sweet delight, as we all stare into the In whom shall it be with our sweet delight, as we all stare into their vibrant eyes? If we're to be blind, let it be our last sight. For what beauty like this shall glimmer in light by the gleam of the moon from moonlit skies? In whom shall it be with our sweet delight? A pearl of great worth to obtain with our might, once covered by dirt and wounded by lies. If we are to be blind, let it be our last sight. Such one as this, from whom kingdoms would fight, as some men of valor fall while others rise. In whom shall it be with our sweet delight? Who holds the vibrant hues of the twilight, and to feel their touch like an honored prize? If we are to be blind, let it be our last sight. All to such beauty every scholar would write onto parchment before ink of the word dries. And whom shall it be with our sweet delight? If we're to be blind, then let it be our last sight. Questions of a drunk answered by the floor, blurred together by the sight of their drink. So some call it fun, but I regard it a bore. Through their addiction, always asking for more, that slurs the mind to prevent one to think. Questions of their drunk answered by the floor. Why be uptight with new ways to explore? All for a toast with their glasses they clink. Some call it fun, but I regard it a bore. But why should I wake to the headache they wore in a miserable state while over a sink? Questions of a drunk answered by the floor. Yet how would I know what I've not tried before? They say with a grin while giving a wink. Some call it fun, but I regard it a bore. The sake of excess one should never adore. To waste one's life one should really rethink. Questions of a drunk answered by the floor. Some call it fun, but I regard it a bore. To you, fair maiden, I shall present my vow, among the crowds of lords and ladies to see, all for a show, to then end with a bow. From a grand circus's performance, and how the jester makes a fool of their addressee, to you, fair maiden, I shall present my vow. In the presence of what the high courts allow, shall you ever see me bend my knee, all for a show, to then end with a bow. So come along in with some hubris now, for a dance of wits among the bourgeoisie. For you, fair maiden, I shall present my vow, and to you all I should kowtow. Such is not the kind of person I'm to be, for all for a show, to then end with a bow. So call me Robin, with his skills to endow, towards all men who long to be free. To you, fair maiden, I shall present my vow, all for a show, to then end with a bow. A moment of peace under neon rain, in a cyber city space where secrets hide, none of which matters when there's vibes to gain. Standing outside clubs where people hide their pain, no work of therapists for them to confide. A moment of peace under neon rain. And as the neon signs mark the walls they stain, a trail of smoke rises to the sky with pride, none of which matters when there's vibes to gain. While the sound of music begins to drain, the body dances to what can't be denied, a moment of peace under neon rain. As cars move on by, lost in their lane, moving in a trance of those tired inside, none of which matters when there's vibes to gain. What is the work of man if done in vain, of all those who tried so hard with all they've applied? A moment of peace under a neon rain, none of which matters when there's vibes to gain. The cat caught the tongue of all those they know, whose words got trapped as they began to speak, with memories lost as they tried to go. With the works of our hands we went to show, the knowledge to give when they came to seek. The cat caught the tongue of all those they know. Some would look and think that we were all slow. We would feel small with the manners of the meek, with a memory lost as they tried to go. Yet, before it all, when our memories would flow, only when presenting our words became... Yet before it all, when our minds would flow, only when presenting our words became Greek. The cat caught the tongue of all those they know, and all the words of wisdom that would come bestow, and after words of wisdom would come bestow, in the harmony of the greatest technique, with the memory lost as they tried to go. Oh, would anyone save us from such woe, to be labeled as sane and not a freak? The cat caught the tongue of all those they know, with memory lost as they tried to go. Oof. We praise the tales of a child's delight, for the imaginations to go and soar, before we put them to sleep during the night. Is a smile on parents when they see such a sight, when children come back always asking for more? Do we praise the tales of a child's delight? And when they adventure on with such might, as the day begins to end, when they watch that door, before we put them to sleep during the night, we can hear them come with stories, their eyes alight, claiming proudly it's a tale one can't ignore. Do we praise the tales of a child's delight? Will we hold their hands to ease their fright? Upon their faces we all watch and adore, before we put them to sleep during the night. So let's kneel beside them as if we're their knight, such as one has not seen since or before. Do we praise the tales of a child's delight, before we put them to sleep during the night? A game of life with the roll of dice, unpredictability when things will be. Tossed from the hand before paying the price. Imperfections and with nothing precise. Though we all go try with our skills to see a game of life with a roll of the dice. For nothing is certain and we can't think twice. We try to find perfection with each degree. Tossed from the hand before paying the price. And so in our madness we all fall into vice, numbing the mind in acts we can't foresee, a game of life with a roll of the dice. As temptations come to seduce and entice, never to see a nature so beastly, tossed from the hand before paying the price. Do we know what we all must sacrifice in order to leave and finally be free? A game of life with a roll of the dice, tossed from the hand before paying the price. All the things we've done and then had destroyed, when no one saw or ever had a clue, for a single moment we had enjoyed, within an essence of time that had been devoid, and we wandered around for something to do, all the things we've done and then had destroyed, while hearing whispers from out of the void, with convincing words we claimed to be true, for a single moment we had enjoyed. Before all the men the law had deployed, this life of crime that we would then life of crime that we would then debut, all the things we've done and then had destroyed, towards the victims who had gone and annoyed, the ones they instigated as they came through, for a single moment we had enjoyed. As we robbed a bank with the men we employed to increase the money we would accrue, all the things we've done and then had destroyed, for a single moment we had enjoyed. Why do we stay awake with weary eyes when the Sandman comes to go claim their sleep? Is it our slumber that of the fool or the wise? No matter what we do in each disguise, when they know what to come, take, and then keep, why do we stay awake with weary eyes? When we hear whispers from those we claim as lies, as thoughts come flooding and claiming to be deep, is our slumber that of the fool or the wise? Nocturnal nature ignoring who advise nocturnal nature ignoring who advise, reasons to rest least insanity comes to reap. Why do we stay awake with weary eyes? It is no thing we should go and despise, for even robots dream of electric sheep. Is our slumber that of the fool or the wise? Such things as this should be like a nice prize, when our health should not be treated so cheap. Why do we stay awake with weary eyes? Is our slumber that of the fool or the wise? The passing of time is nobody's friend, an emotionless force remaining the same, yet down to its order we must depend. From the start of empires to their end, and the youth of the rulers all try to claim, the passing of time is nobody's friend. In control of chaos that we pretend, treating it like it's some high-structured game, yet down to its order we must depend. With all moments of life that we spend, being taught who to hate and who to blame, the passing of time is nobody's friend. Such is the way of history scribes have penned, stories of kingdoms who always try to tame, yet down to its order we must depend. For what is there for you to try and defend, when all we have left is truly our name? The passing of time is nobody's friend, yet down to its order we must depend. Okay, so this one, number 32, the Yuki Onna comes. This is my favorite Villanelle. This one out of all the Villanelles, is my favorite one of this volume. This one. But then again, I am a sucker for yokai, so it makes sense. Within the blizzard where no man should go, when everything is surrounded by white, the Yuki-onna comes, covered in snow. Lessons are told for everyone to know, as one cannot win against winter's might, within the blizzards where no man should go. When they play their games so they can all show festivities of a holiday's delight, the Yuki-onna comes, covered in snow. As the rivers all freeze, blocking their flow, and the rage of the cold, now one must fight, within the blizzard where no man should go. What is it for man to face the frozen woe, when blinded then by the winter sun's light, the Yuki-onna comes, covered in snow. Perhaps a blessing there is to bestow, someone to take the edge off the season's bite, within the blizzard where no man should go. The Yuki-onna comes, covered in snow. What is love to all the ones who have lost within the shadows of what they once knew? Would you dare pay such a heavy cost to fight for everything only to exhaust yourself towards the person you love true? What is love to all the ones who have lost? While others look at the feeling they once tossed, they laugh on by with no care what they do. Would you dare pay such a heavy cost? Seasons change, yet some stay in their permafrost. Who can truly know what they've all gone through? What is love to all the ones who have lost? And all the pictures they've gone and glossed, never then knowing how they can come to. Would you dare to pay such a heavy cost? To the lover's eyes who were once star-crossed, until the winds of death then came and blew. What is love to all the ones who have lost? Would you dare pay such a heavy cost? Okay, so this one, this one took me forever to compile. So for those of you who don't know what a cento is, and I'm gonna do a brief pause here, it is essentially a form of found poetry where ideally the traditional way was to take it from poems and create something new from poetic lines that you find. What I do is I take lyrics. I take song lyrics, and that's how I create my cento / found poetry, is through song lyrics. So I decided that, hey, why don't I make a villanelle out of this? It took me way too long. It took me over an hour. Is probably closer to 2. It was, especially when I have a bunch I need to write. Yeah, it slowed my progression down quite a bit, but it was still a fun project. So anyways, let's get into it. It is not the same when I'm with you. Somebody said that it fades away. I'm not supposed to want you, but I do. I've lied for you and I liked it too. Would things be easier if there was a right way? It's not the same when I'm with you. Now I sleep in a bed built for two. The voices in my head keep telling me to pray. I'm not supposed to want you, but I do. I faked a heartbreak I didn't go through. Well, you just laughed. It was all okay. It's not the same when I'm with you. I didn't speak it, but I always knew. Your eyes still haunt me till this day. I'm not supposed to want you, but I do. Girl, I've never loved one like you. Please hold on to me. I'm slipping away. It's not the same when I'm with you. I'm not supposed to want you, but I do. In the meadow where musical notes fly, along the shores of a crackling brook stream, where many an animal rest and lie, we watch the clouds continue moving by, like a memory lost in a painter's dream, in the meadow where musical notes fly. In such peaceful moments to multiply, while enjoying the ray of the sun's beam, where many an animal rest and lie, we sat and listened to the willow tree sigh, signs marked on its bark with love as the theme, in the meadows where musical notes fly. In a quiet place under the summer sky, and held within nature's gentle stream, where many an animal rest and lie. There would be no reason to go deny, becoming lost within the sky's daydream, in the meadow where musical notes fly, where many an animal rest and lie. End of an era, we're still gathering here, waiting as lights silently go out, and still we stand by all those we hold dear. In silence, there would be no reason to fear, watching from windows as they panic and shout, end of an era, and we're still gathered here. The warnings were loud, the warnings were clear, time closed the chapter, as always done throughout, and still we stand by all those we hold dear. So when the curtains fall for the next stage near, shall we then still be here, wise and devout, end of an era, and we're still gathered here. We listen to messengers that did appear, that others would mock and forever doubt, and still we stand by all those we hold dear. Now what shall we know of the new frontier, with all the life that would come in and sprout, end of an era, and we're still gathered here, and still we stand by all those we hold dear. Let the blood of the martyrs fill the streets. If evil must persist, let the blood of the martyrs fill the street. If evil must persist, then let the blood flow, and the silent shift awkwardly in their seat. Have the ground of the earth feel the marching feet. From those fed up, so to the gallows they go. Let the blood of the martyrs fill the street. You who claim justice in each video and tweet, but when it mattered you would never show, and the silence shift awkwardly in their seat. How does the rot taste? You thought it was fine to eat. Spewing ignorance with nothing to know, let the blood of the martyrs fill the street. While the people cry out for evil's defeat, others support the tyrants of whom they are a pro, and the silent shift awkwardly in their seat. Would anything then be ever so sweet if people stood for good and began to grow? Let the blood of the martyrs fill the street, and the silent shift awkwardly in their seat. Would you look at a person in disgust as they support the places evil stood, becoming bedfellows with none you can trust? So pick up your sandals and shake off the dust towards such a house in their neighborhood. Would you look at a person in disgust who takes in sweet kisses of evil's lust in places where no one ever should, becoming bedfellows with none you can trust? They praise morality and topics discussed, pay to talk of things they never understood. Would you look at a person in disgust? Is it any wonder that we should mistrust words of those who don't know the meaning of good, becoming bedfellows with none you can trust? While others stand not because they should but must, to protect as many people as they could, would you look at a person in disgust, becoming bedfellows with none you can trust? Have you seen the joy of a child's bright smile when they run up to you with something to share? For such are the ways of the juvenile. They set their eyes as they come to beguile, to reject them and the desire you couldn't dare. Have you seen the joy of a child's bright smile? And though it may all go and take a while, as the cool relative you lay the toys bare, for such are the ways of the juvenile. What is more chaotic than snacks in a pile that would cause their parents to see and swear? Have you seen the joy of a child's bright smile? Now with energy that would last them a mile, as you watch the adult's horrified stare, for such are the ways of the juvenile. All while you time the crash that comes in style, as leaving it to your siblings wouldn't be fair. Have you seen the joy of the child's bright smile? For such are the ways of the juvenile. No skill to draw, so my words became art, while watching their skills through envious eyes, while lost in a rhyme, never to depart. For young was the age when all would go start, poetry written, never to revise. No skill to draw, so my words became art. Echoes of emotion that came from the heart, and the heaviest of all came from the highs, when lost in a rhyme, never to depart. Excuse me. With words of a poet's past, with lines to impart, like a blessing that fell from out of the sky. No skill to draw, so my words became art. Others compiled from letters out from a mart, for how else could they then ever franchise, while lost in a rhyme, never to depart? Yet from those who came to set themselves apart, I set my sights on what I could go devise. No skill to draw, but so my words became art, while lost in a rhyme, never to depart. Wind through a willow that's covering me, from the kiss of the wind so bitter and cold, with all the history it ever did see. What stories told through the branches so free, while others search for ways comfort is sold. Wind through a willow that's covering me. The bite of the air as cold could be. Only if you step out like a mark of the bold, with all the history it ever did see. As to the burrows, even animals flee away from such weather for them to behold. Wind through a willow that's covering me. Through the cries that sound like a mournful banshee, the weight of its presence more precious than gold, with all the history it ever did see. Yet such comfort did come from out of a tree that grew its size from ages of old. Wind through a willow that's covering me, with all the history it ever did see. Steps to a melody providing a dance, lost in a trance within the body's flow, caring naught of those who may look and glance. They move to the sound of a song's resonance, all to the movements they've been taught to know. Steps to a melody providing a dance. Hypnotic patterns to throw one in a trance, unable to blink or turn from the show, caring naught of those who may look and glance. Through enchanting fire they begin their advance, following the path where the feet must go, steps to a melody providing a dance. Moving into each pose with every stance, whether the music be fast or even slow, caring naught of those who may look and glance. In rooms always open to offer a chance to those seeking new elegant skills to grow, steps to a melody providing a dance, caring naught of those who may look and glance. For all the ones who wish the best for you, would you live for love instead of dying, to see you live a life fulfilled and true, towards adventures to go on through, with all the skills to use and be applying, for all the ones who wish the best for you. And though at times you may not have a clue, there are many who will understand your sighing, to see you live a life fulfilled and true. For many are things through life you can do. What matters is what you will be trying, for all the ones who wish the best for you. All through the old and even into the new, places in which one can be lying, to see you live a life fulfilled and true. Truly many choices, if you opened your view, that can go and feel so gratifying, all for the ones who wish the best for you, to see you live a life fulfilled and true. A flash of lightning across the darkened sky as sounds of thunder come rolling in. When a growing storm okay, let me start that again. A flash of lightning across the darkened sky as the sound of thunder comes rolling in, within a growing storm coming nearby, when tornadoes touch the fields in reply, through the growing force in which they now spin, a flash of lightning across the darkened sky. For who can truly go in and deny the force of nature for which man can't win, within a growing storm coming nearby? Be not like all the fools who go and try, in the tales of madness they all begin, a flash of lightning across the darkened sky, and in their folly among the fields they'll lie, like giving into temptations of sin, within a growing storm coming nearby. So go to a shelter lest you go and die, and remember then that one shouldn't defy a flash of lightning across the darkened sky, within a growing storm coming nearby. Words of poetry pressed into a song, when their words to music all came to be, through the heart another place to belong. Some may start weak before becoming strong, for everyone to finally hear and see. Words of poetry pressed into a song, and learning through failure is never wrong, in order for the words to flow so free. Through the heart another place to belong, before finally feeling them come along, when there's no need to cry or even plea. Words of poetry pressed into a song. Whether it be the sound of a drum or gong, when everyone goes to hold their own key, through the heart another place to belong. Yet, just like music, one should not prolong, for in poetry many can come see. Words of poetry pressed into a song, through the heart of another place to belong. Another strike from the hand of the clock. The hourglass tilts and an hour has gone by. Tick. Another strike from the hand of the clock. The hourglass tilts and an hour has gone by. talk, and the reapers coming in to knock. A flash of light the moment you could walk, as parents watch from silence to every cry. Tick, another strike from the hand of the clock. And with every moment with friends you would talk, with the tales of love that would make you sigh. Talk, and the reaper is coming in to knock. You did not know when the sickness came to stalk, seeping in, causing one to slowly die. Tick, another strike from the hand of the clock. It was never one they could heal or block. You laid in the hospital bed crying, why? Talk, and the reaper is coming in to knock. To truly be healed would have come as a shock, as you take one final glance at the blue sky. Tick, another strike from the hand of the clock. Talk, and the reaper is coming in to knock. The people danced as they cried down with the king. So many of them had been martyred and died. To their one victory they would now sing. For freedom they faced what their death would bring, while sympathizers to tyrants went and cried. To the people danced as they cried down with the king. Feelings of liberation from an angel's wing, as they lifted their voices with praise and pride. To their one victory they would now sing. For the people this would be a new spring, as the people of justice cheered by their side. The people danced as they cried down with the king. To take back their country, no greater a thing, for all the decades they had been denied. To their one victory they would now sing. When the tides of the people turned in full swing, for the sake of the innocent who had died, the people dressed as they cried down with the king. To their one victory they would now sing. And we're not even halfway through these. I told you this was going to be a doozy. The ghost of the past could never foresee what we of the present would begin to do when we locked ourselves in chains to not be free. Would we know then how this all came to be, to take advantage of through and through? The ghost of the past could never foresee. How could we lose the self-awareness to see the use of the system to affect me and you? When we locked ourselves in chains to not be free. The moment we gave in to their decree, when the moment honeyed lies denied what's true, the ghost of the past could never foresee. Because a divide to not let them agree, thinking blood on the ground was always the clue, when we locked ourselves in chains not to be free. Finally agreeing to fall and bend the knee, indoctrinating kids with what we would imbue, the ghost of the past could never foresee, when we locked ourselves in chains to not be free. Upon the graves where all the ravens sit. Okay, so this one Goths would love. I mean, I feel like they would love several of the poems I've already talked about, but like this is definitely probably one of the gothiest villanelles I've done. Upon the graves where all the ravens sit, along the morn of the slow creeping mist, would we dare play games of wisdom or wit? Many things said when you refuse to admit, as the lies all continue to persist. Upon the graves where all ravens sit, and all for a tale you decide to commit, even though we thought it may not exist. Would we dare play games of wisdom or wit? For not many a thing would ever come fit, where shadows start to crawl in our midst. Upon the graves where all the ravens sit, there would be those in fear who would go and quit, where not a many would ever make the list. Will we ever dare play games of wisdom or wit? There shall be nothing that we shall omit, for the knowledge we will need to insist. Upon the graces where all the ravens sit, would we dare to play games of wisdom or wit? But I need another drink by the time this is all through. Among the flowers of their vibrant hue, as they come to go bloom along the spring, a way of life to care for and imbue, many a kind acts of which one could go and do, along with the joy the season can bring, among the flowers of their vibrant hue. People all around will come enjoy the view, along with the songs old and new, which they sing, a way of life to care for and imbue. And although one may not always have a clue, there are those who will take them in their wing among the flowers of their vibrant hue. As the bees then pollinate through and through for the sake of their queen and never a king, a way of life to care for and imbue, leading then to the perfect time to debut, thinking back to the time you were coloring among the flowers of their vibrant hue, a way of life to care for and imbue. To prevent the eerie things of fog and night, cast onto the waves of the water's flow, the keeper of the lighthouse shines his light towards the ghostly things that come in sight. From the ghost stories all the sailors know, to prevent the eerie things of fog and night. For many things in the ocean waves invite, as they are distracted by which way to go. The keeper of the lighthouse shines his light within these thankless jobs now done upright, for the ships that sail that many men must row, to prevent the eerie things of fog and night. Though the ghost lights creep in to cause affright, along with the curses that sailors throw, the keeper of the lighthouse shines his light. So don't let yourself then fall into plight when the ethereal ship begins to show, to prevent the eerie things of fog and night, the keeper of the lighthouse that shines his light. The dryad of the forest in her lament, as men laid to waste all the forest trees, so many things that she could not prevent. For no matter where the humans all went, the rage of spirits they could not appease. The dryad of the forest in her lament. If only they could pause a bit and relent, and grow as many trees as they would seize, so many things she could not prevent. When the ability to see was spent, nor could they listen to the spirits' pleas, the dryad of the forest in her lament. For the age of man left to their own descent to control the world when they took the keys, so many things she could not prevent. And as she knew they would never repent, she faded away back into her trees, the dryad of the forest in her lament, so many things she could not prevent. There is a lonely road that appears at night, a place where many never come to find, little off the main path, slightly out of sight. As you drive on by under the pale moonlight, not knowing you went and left it all behind, there is a lonely road that appears at night. A spirit road, as some may know with delight, for what else is there of its very kind? Little off the main path, slightly out of sight. So theories come in with debates to fight of such a road that no man had designed. There is a lonely road that appears at night. And although they all go and try with their might, the road could not go and never be confined. Little off the main path, slightly out of sight. So with tired eyes, driving through midnight, should you see it, you don't have to mind. There is a lonely road that appears at night. A little off the main path, slightly out of sight. Offerings left where all villagers know, along the still edge of the mountain base, where guardians come and guardians go. Never seen by where the forest trees grow, along the paths where none dare to go trace. Offerings left where all villagers know. They felt the presence of what they could never show, silently moving within its agile grace, where the guardians come and guardians go. Within the night, drawing near and low, the people slept in each home and place. Offerings left where all the villagers know. A blessing's tiny to come and bestow, for all the things to feel and to come and embrace, where guardians come and guardians go. What it was that came they would never know, for none would go seek and reveal their face. Offerings left where all villagers know, where guardians come and guardians go. Man, this is going to be... If it was just for one, would God still die, to come down as a human by their side, and rise on the third to ascend to the sky? What would he leave behind to go and try towards the place their souls would go and hide? If it was just for one, would God still die? To give his love and words to then apply, while in his arms for you to then confide, and rise on the third to ascend to the sky. Even for one would he ever deny, with abandoning love towards the one he eyed? If it was just for one, would God still die? When he came as Jesus, would the one ask why? Why just for him to save that he came and died, and rise on the third to ascend to the sky? It was always the love towards you and I, to bring us all into his embrace inside. If it was just for one, would God still die, and rise on the third to ascend to the sky? He came to bug Karen along the river Styx. Always towards the ferryman's dismay, to get on the boat and get his fix. Within the land of the dead, where souls do mix, a man of the living came every day. Came to bug Karen along the river Styx. For a sense of adventure, to get his kicks, he would not return, but would always stay. To get on the boat and to get his fix. Forgive me if I'm pronouncing his name wrong. Get on the boat, and yet the ferryman would deny his tricks, while he would try and figure out a way. He came to bug Karen. I will figure out how to say his name in the future properly. Along the river Styx. If it was a mortal, he developed tics. Every time the man came to try and play, to get on the boat and to get his fix. Such a goth of a man with a crucifix, to wander the underworld to go delay. He came to bug Karen along the river Styx, to get on the boat and to get his fix. The people say they heard lightning talk every time the thunderstorm would come by. If it was true, it would be such a shock. It claimed to like music of metal and rock, as it said when it thundered across the sky, that people say they heard the lightning talk. Was a man in a machine with whom storms did flock, for the people thought it must be a lie. If it was true, it would be such a shock. Yet the storm would laugh and the storm would mock at all the people who would go deny. As the people say they heard the lightning talk. It went in its mirth to then strike a block. Multiple times would be the storm's reply. If it was true, it would be such a shock. They all knew they became a laughing stock as they told the tale with a heavy sigh. The people say they heard the lightning talk. If it was true, it would be such a shock. Guess what the lightning's about to do? A dragon among lizards for none to know, within plain sight to go deceive their eyes, for in its wisdom was to never show. Watch the path where all the people go, it continued to learn while in its disguise, the dragon among lizards for none to know. It would find its home within the grotto, under the glowing crystals as its prize, for in its wisdom was to never show. Yet the boat still came by the water's flow, seeking places where they said treasures lie, the dragon among lizards for none to know. Now into the storms it would hide behind, and the men came in to search and uprise, for in its wisdom was to never show. To then chase them away a curse of woe, at least it would come in to then agonize, a dragon among lizards for none to know, for in its wisdom was to never show. A crown of power and another king dies, corrupted now by the curse of the land, and within their graves the spirits will rise. Another comes to grab with greed in their eyes, to rule for a short while, then die where they stand. A crown of power and another king dies, while hubris comes to deceive with its lies, for a crown to go placed in their head, and within their graves their spirits will rise. And who should it be, the fool who defies, as her voice is not one to go command? A crown of power and another king dies. It's always the It always goes to those who think they're wise before they start issuing every demand, and within their graves their spirits will rise. Even the men of wisdom under the skies, none would toss a crown into the molten stand. A crown of power, and another king dies, and within their graves their spirits will rise. Oh man, 40 to do. Whoop 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 whoop. It wanders the earth for a grave to find, forgotten by time in the ages past. The spirits still search for the grave assigned. Some claim to see the spirit, but they were blind and deaf to hear as well to all it asked. It wandered the earth for a grave to find. Only the only ancient ghost of their own kind. If the others could see, they'd be aghast. The spirit still searches for the grave assigned. Such a resting place was meant for it to bind, while it was tossed away like an outcast. It wanders the earth for a grave to find. Aimlessly wandering, it seemed not to mind. It would come. It would continue to come and move on past. The spirit still searches for the grave assigned. And should the spirit stop and halt its grind, within the place it would come in at last. It wandered the earth for a grave to find. The spirit once searched for the grave assigned. There was a childhood home now faded away, with lingering tales, nostalgia once told, of an area where we would once play. But changes will come and nothing will stay, aside from the memories we always hold. There was a childhood home, now faded away. And odd when we moved to be gone one day, away from the place one day to be sold, of an area where we would once play. For nothing is the same when time had its way. From the experiences of the young and old, there was a childhood home, now faded away. Yet thoughts will sometimes come along like a stray, as we think of a time more precious than gold, of an area where we would once play. So, like a message from the wind with something to say, of a time that pictures would always behold, there was a childhood home, now faded away, of an area where we would once play. Lost and forgotten, now sitting alone, the toy left behind as we moved from the home. Perhaps another would give it a throne. It was not in a box where the others were thrown, where when we like gypsies would leave as we'd roam, lost and forgotten, now sitting alone, away in that corner we never had known, silently sitting like runes on a tome. Perhaps another would give it a throne. And how could we remember all that we'd own, to open the boxes and through them go home, lost and forgotten, now sitting alone. A time comes when favorites are outgrown as we traveled into a new biome. Perhaps another would give it a throne. For the chaos mistakes are rather prone to leave things behind where we once called home. Lost and forgotten, now sitting alone. Perhaps another would give it a throne. There was a friend I left many years ago, with connections lost for many years to be, who I met as a stranger I didn't know. If we're not careful, life can disrupt our flow, to tear away friends we no longer would see. There was a friend I left many years ago. We went on our path, the other couldn't go. To meet again, we had no guarantee, who I met as a stranger I didn't know. It's easy to forget faces that don't show, as I'm sure others would know and agree. There was a friend I left many years ago. So what to do then other than say hello, when there's no other word we could foresee, who I met as a stranger I didn't know. Now into a new friendship for no reason to bestow, blessings given to allow one to be free. There was a friend I left many years ago, who I met as a stranger I didn't know. In tears of joy, call it nostalgia heart, watching them play with things of the past, with all the games I love that they would start. Games I love to never go and be apart, loving them from the first moment to the last. In tears of joy, call it nostalgia heart. Towards all the villains they would outsmart. How could I not smile as kids having a blast, with all the games I love that they would start? The ways they played, one could call it an art, with all the skills grown to be unsurpassed, and tears of joy, call it nostalgia heart. They listened to lessons the past would impart, in the era of the post they would outlast, with all the games I loved that they would start. Did we ever know that they would be so smart with the abilities they would pick up fast, and tears of joy, call it nostalgia heart, with all the games I love that they would start. In faded school grounds gone now in disarray, that place is that place many well sorry. In faded school grounds gone now in disarray, that place many once came to play and grow, the school now in ruins where none would stay. In a ghost town people once left one day, within the reasons hidden that none would know, in faded school grounds gone now in disarray. After effects of the Cold War, some would say, with all the melancholy it would show, the school now in ruins where none would stay. Would we hear the echoes of those who would play, brought back to the past before people would go, in faded school grounds now gone now in disarray? Along the creaking swings that would slowly sway, all while hearing the call of a watching crow, the school now in ruins where none would stay. For what reasons would you go have your way, where the ghostly children haunt a place of woe, in faded school grounds gone now in disarray? The school is now in ruin where none would stay. I faded dream at the edge of the mind, with memories of who I could have been, when vivid images of her coming kind. Would anyone expect it to be aligned, no matter the place I'd gone and seen? A faded dream at the edge of my mind. Gone a moment, but she always would find and leave her presence in a foggy screen, when vivid images of her coming kind. When forgotten, she would return to remind just why she was the ethereal queen, and a faded dream at the edge of my mind. Pedestals built as she would then she pedestals built and she would be enshrined to go and praise the waves of this undine, when vivid images of her coming kind. Undine, to go and praise the waves of this Undine, when vivid images of her coming kind. Who was it truly who would be confined to be careful of words and what they mean? A faded dream at the edge of my mind, when vivid images of her coming kind. I held the keys to power as people fell. Was the price of my place laid by the dead, where blood and guilt now eternally dwell? With all these lives into a systems I'd sell, listening to what the voice of the stock said, I held the keys to power as people fell. Some may think my path would bring me to hell. Upon the moment the fates would snap the thread, where blood and guilt now eternally dwell. Could I or the others fully foretell all the paths my legs would go to be led? I held the keys to power as people fell. Should I die, let me not be trapped in a cell, on a table, or tortured where others bled, where blood and guilt now eternally dwell. And who should the sound of my voice compel, when not in my soul has anything been fed? I had the keys to power as the people fell, where the people in guilt now eternally dwell. Man, like after like a certain point, it's just like allegory of the cave where the dead lie, like a frog in a well with what they know, never to go and see the bright blue sky. Would they ever know the way that birds fly, with all the places they migrate and go? Allegory of the cave where the dead lie. Did they hear the missing shadows reply, missing the things that life would come in and show, never to go and see the bright blue sky? Would they believe the friend's voice to be a lie when he was brought out many days ago? Allegory of the cove, and it's where they allegory of the cave, and it's where the dead lie. Of all the truth they would all go deny, and their refusal to believe and follow, never to go and see the bright blue sky, only for many to look back asking why. They ignore wisdom others would bestow. Allegory of the cave where the dead lie, never to go see the bright blue sky. The Sandman comes as I fight to not sleep. As my body begins to sway and shake, to go collect his due, the man must reap. For what is there towards the awake to keep, with all the things they try to go and take? And the Sandman comes as I fight not to sleep, or to not sleep. Excuse me. Whew. And there is no running into the deep, and in the ethereal for dreams to partake. To go collect his dues, the man must reap. To cloud the tired mind with jumping sheep, as there's never a plan to forsake. The Sandman comes as I fight not to sleep. If we're not careful, the darkness comes to reap, while hearing the lies of a talking snake. To collect his dues, the man must reap. There is no reason to go in and weep before reality begins to quake. The Sandman comes and I fight to not sleep. To go collect his dues, the man must reap. Your eyes start getting cross-eyed out after a while. Fun fact: I did this in Comic Sans just for a bit of a break. I did this in Comic Sans because I put out a poll asking people what kind of font they'd like to see this in. Only a select few people voted, and the ones who voted for Comic Sans. So for the 5 people who did actually vote when I put it on multiple sites, I did it for the ones who actually voted, and thus it was done in Comic Sans. What will it take for wars to go and cease, for men in power with the games they play, while under the guise of promising peace? For the sake of money to go and increase, while others to heal to choose to then stay? What will it take for wars to go and cease? Will countries in their hate begin to release all the missiles they shoot off every day, while under the guise of promising peace? Fools cry out for a dictator to increase, with all the propaganda they're paid to say. What will it take for wars to go and cease? They go cry to their morality police because an evil dictator died this day, while under the guise of promising peace. Yet the people cry as evil begins to decrease, while not believing the words they convey. What will it take for wars to go and cease, while under the guise of promising peace? Okay, so this one, 71. So what I did here is I created a Seijo Villanelles hybrid. Seijo being the Korean poetic form that is their equivalent of the haiku, but longer, and they have like a human thing at the end of their Seijo. So it's like nature, continuing the scene. So it's scene, continue the scene, human element is typically how a Seijo goes. What I have done is through this Villanelle, I have combined the Seijo element, the way a Seijo works with like the syllables and all of that, all the way down. It is a Seijo Villanelle hybrid. Across the expanse of the horizon under the sky, held like a mirror from the reflection of the ocean, where our vanity asks us to go conquer or try. Would we consider the universe where all the stars lie, to give into the hands a moment of our devotion, across the expanse of the horizon under the sky? The ancient trees know but a moment as they watch as men die, and who are we to think while within heightened emotion, when our vanity asks us to go conquer and try? Have we gone and counted the birds within the flocks they fly, towards the calls they all make, and their constant commotion, along the expanse of the horizon under the sky? Through the clouds coming with rain, giving the earth a relieving sigh, as all things through life, like time, are ever in constant motion, where our vanity asks of us to go conquer and try. So we watch the scales of nature continue to pass us by, to charm our eyes and heartbeats before giving us a notion, across the expanse of the horizon under the sky, where our vanity asks us to go conquer and try. And now here is, so initially I was going to do a haiku Villanelle combo, but I couldn't properly think of a haiku system. So what I did instead was I have implemented the Senryu, which is basically um, haiku adjacent. It's about the lived experience. It's about humanity, all of the like what makes us us, right? So this is that hybrid. So I've done a Seijo hybrid, I've done a Sento hybrid, I've done a Senryu hybrid of Villanelles, because I wasn't just going to do plain Villanelles, now was I, in a volume of 100 of them. Staring at the air, unaware of what's around, when thoughts come to ensnare. In such weather fair, for the mind to be sky-bound, staring at the air. Now gone without care, no longer tethered on ground, when thoughts come and snare. Blink into time's glare, while sent into a rebound, staring at the air. Brain cells gone elsewhere, while thinking something profound, when thoughts come and snare. Some say it's not fair, as madness shows its teeth bare, staring at the air, when thoughts come and snare. A flash of a smile, and my thoughts disappear, as I fumble all the words I long to say, towards the beauty I wish to hold dear. Only to now stare in the face of my fear, before my thoughts then come in to betray. A flash of a smile, and my thoughts disappear. From the one I didn't expect to come near, an opportunity doesn't come every day, towards the beauty I wish to hold dear. With a siren-like voice she made it clear, when she came in to go and have her way. A flash of a smile, and my thoughts disappear. Unexpected places that one could appear, forgoing all the dating games people play, towards the beauty I wish to hold dear. Would this now finally become my year? Will spring come to the desert I would stay? A flash of a smile, and my thoughts disappear, towards the beauty I wish to hold dear. Sinking into dreams of the deep big blue, under the waves that come in to consume. Is this a nightmare to push our way on through? What all are the things that one could go do, when facing off with your apparent doom, sinking into dreams of the deep big blue? From vivid to lucid, would we have a clue? Least we go to be embraced by the gloom. Is this a nightmare to push our way on through? Despite knowing that none of this could be true, under the waters where darkness come to loom, sinking into dreams of the deep big blue. In adventures we didn't expect to ensue, floating on down into a watery tomb. Is this a nightmare to push our way on through? Time passes slowly in dreams it can't pursue, and moments once again begin to resume, sinking into dreams of the deep big blue. Is this a nightmare to push our way on through? Fighting for control of the mind to wake, when my eyes are beginning to drift and tire, like an artist that wants to finish and make. Yet sleep is not something to go and forsake, as your body starts to droop in like a mire, fighting for control for a mind to wake. Taking energy drinks for your brain to shake, so you can try and finish all you desire, like an artist that wants to finish and make. For now is not the time to take a break, when all the goals all start coming down to the wire. Fighting for control of a mind to wake. Second wind coming in like an earthquake, as oxygen comes to light things on fire, like an artist that wants to finish and make. With a little lost time to go and retake, before the night you can go and retire, fighting for control of a mind to wake, like an artist that wants to finish and make. And everything finally comes to an end, would you turn to look back with pride or regret? What would you leave behind before you transcend? Would you write your own history to be penned, so it didn't go and get erased or reset, when everything finally comes to an end? Did you keep your promise, or just pretend to go out giving more than you would get? What would you leave behind before you transcend? In life we don't always do what we intend, as we cast our dice to go and make our bet, when everything finally comes to an end. Did you become the one the others would depend whenever they were feeling down or upset? What would you leave behind before you transcend? What would be the words of your life from a friend, like one who came to help you out of a debt? When everything finally comes to an end, what would you leave behind before you transcend? The first snow of the winter season falling under the beautiful silent winter's night. so pure in its single path and calling. Something about it so enthralling, like watching the glow of a dancing light, the first snow of a winter season falling. And although it can be rather appalling, as cars get on by with a sudden fright, so pure in its single path and calling. For others, it would cause them to be stalling to figure out if it's hate or a delight, the first snow of the winter season falling. Before the children come out and begin brawling, building their bases for their snowball fight, so pure in its single path and calling. Truly remaining ever so enthralling within the cold and glistening sparks of white, the first snow of the winter season's falling, so pure in its single path and calling. Many a person longs for summer break to enjoy vacation and all the sun's rays, a moment of joy for no one to take. Some to experiment with what they'd make, productively spending their summer days. Many a person longs for a summer break. Dog days of summer for those bored and awake, a group of those not giving in to the craze, a moment of joy for no one to take. Others go to cool down, to swim at the lake, as others flaunt their fit for people's praise. Many a person longs for a summer break. Before the smell of barbecue, cooking steak, filling the air to send them into a daze. A moment of joy for no one to take. For why, no, that should be why, for what reason? For what reason would one go and forsake a moment of enjoyment through peaceful days? Many a person longs for a summer break, a moment of joy for no one to take. The storm entering the beginning of spring, for plants to come alive and start to grow, and all the animals life come to bring. The birds return as they begin to sing, telling tales only they could ever know, the storm entering the beginning of spring. When bright colors come into the world to cling before fading into the summer's glow, and all the animal's life comes to bring. Even as the bugs awake for some to sting, and pollinate so both may then show, the storm entering the beginning of spring. Others come to take their own under their wing, holding to gossip they got from a crow, and all the animal's life come to bring. All the animal's life comes to bring. And we all felt alive, thinking we could do anything, in perfect weather to go with the flow, the storm entering the beginning of spring, and all the animal's life comes to bring. In come the colors of a vibrant decay, as summer air enters in a cool breeze, when autumn signs appear on display. From festivals into a harvest day, for a time to enter in a sweet reprise. Reprise. In come the color of a vibrant decay. And through all the leaves that your children will play, watching by parents while they are feeling at ease, when the autumn signs appear on display. While the birds begin to migrate away, and their flocks to go and fly as they please, in come the colors of a vibrant decay. As seasons will pass, never to stay, always with its weather coming to tease, when autumn signs appear on display. Though it may enter with a bit of delay, it would still come in the way it please. In come the colors of a vibrant decay, when the autumn signs appear on display. Oh, what joy within the essence of taste, within the flavors that fall right on the tongue. To have food unfinished would be such a waste. There are those who eat slow and others with haste, as they pretend the food with the words they sung. Oh, what joy within the essence of taste. Some deal with the challenge all parents have faced, as they deal with the food each child has flung. To have food unfinished would be such a waste. Well, every 7 years, taste buds are replaced, as they hope it'll affect the mind of the young. Oh, what a joy within the essence of taste. And heaven forbid it should come be erased, for such as a feeling will truly have stung. To have food unfinished would be such a waste. All for the food, to have simply been graced. Thanks the unseen heroes whose work should be sung. Oh, what joy within the essence of taste. To have food unfinished would be such a waste. How will you deal with a feeling's desire when seduction comes to give you a chance that begins to consume you like a raging fire? With all the things that you'll give to acquire, that's hidden beneath a coy sly glance, how will you deal with a feeling's desire? The longs to go and bring your passions higher, through the touch of the lips that kiss in a trance that begins to consume you like a raging fire, skin to skin in a time for you to tire, to make you believe you're trapped in a romance. How will you deal with a feeling's desire? To then tempt a man with your lustful attire, when you invoke a feeling to come and to enhance that begins to consume you like a raging fire. What will it take to make you sing like the choir when pulled in within when pulled within an irresistible dance? How will you deal with a feeling's desire that begins to consume you like a raging fire? A swing of the swords as steel on steel clash, movements so fast they're not seen with the eye, with sparks in the air before covered in ash. Rivals to villains with a pirate party to crash, all for the hero they come to defy. A swing of the sword as steel on steel clash. A strike with the sword, then gone with a flash, across the area where battlefields lie, with sparks in the air before covered in ash, to aim for the other, to go and then thrash, as civilians below hear their war cry, a swing of the sword as steel and steel clash. Always their actions to go and be rash, as the one who defends goes up with a sigh, with sparks in the air before covered in ash. To keep track of it all would give one whiplash. You can't help but wonder if someone will die. That swing of the sword as steel and steel clash, with sparks in the air before covered in ash. Lovers in the night with a long sigh, lost inside their voices, lost within their flow, together forever should even they die. Like Perseus and Andromeda in the sky, among the stars where constellations show, the lovers in the night with a long sigh, ignoring pamphlets of men, and they all cry, for in their own world the couple must go, together forever should even they die. Stories told where romance will lie, hidden in places where only they know, the lovers of the night with a long sigh. And who should come to try and defy, to go in between, to let upon them be woe, together forever should even they die. We heard of legends none will deny that make the heart warm and sets them aglow. The lovers of the night with a long sigh, together forever should even they die. The essence of water to go with the flow, from its raging waves to a gentle stream. Why should it concern itself where it may go? A patience held to bring the mountains low, while moving through wherever it may deem. The essence of water to go with the flow. To others a relief of thirst to bestow, as you stand in hot weather so extreme. Why should it concern itself where it may go? Holding on to secrets many still don't know, from the depths of the ocean to a bloodstream, the essence of water to go with the flow. Some find enjoyment in the deep below, holding it with both fear and great esteem. Why should it concern itself where it may go? We delight in the gentle waves moving slow during vacation days as if in a dream, the essence of water to go with the flow. Why should it concern itself where it may go? The heat of fire as it begins to burn, consuming all within an inferno's rage, and an endless hunger for it to yearn, giving warmth to destruction in its turn. Ways to respect and fear in every age, the heat of the fire as it begins to burn. For proper ways to use it one must discern, and pass down the knowledge into a page, in an endless hunger for it to yearn. Folly comes from those with little concern, who bring on an uncontrollable rampage, the heat of the fire as it begins to burn. A volatile element, as all will learn, beholden to no capture or a cage, in an endless hunger for it to yearn. The respect one gives, they get in return, holding true through every moment and stage, the heat of the fire as it begins to burn, in an endless hunger for it to yearn. Okay, I need another drink. Give me a sec. That tastes weird. Embrace of the air that comes with a kiss, fickle in nature, all through the land and sky, as it explores life with feelings of bliss. Only to the void of space would it dis, held beyond the surface where winds could fly, embrace of the air that comes with a kiss. Guiding time as it begins to reminisce, seeing the balance of life where people lie, as it explores life with the feelings of bliss, invisible but impossible to miss, giving to elements ways to amplify, embrace of the air that comes with a kiss. To not enjoy a cool breeze, we'd be remiss, relief from summer heat none would deny, as it explores life with feelings of bliss. Yet it may still come as a hit and miss, as storm pressure comes in to apply, embrace of the air that comes with a kiss, as it explores life with feelings of bliss. Stalwart warden, standing ever so still, holding all upon that comes to stand. Holding all upon it that comes to stand, like a stoic guardian full of will. Gravity making sure nothing will spill, holding all on the planet and the land, stalwart warden standing ever so still, in a rotation so fast for life to fill, to think some believe it was made unplanned, like a stoic guardian full of will. Minding not what things give people a thrill, holding very little in its demand, stalwart warden standing ever so still, with calm, slow movements of knowledge to instill, while believing we're the ones still in command, like a stoic guardian full of will. Would we ever think to go gain such skill, like the fields of the earth and every strand, a stalwart warden standing ever so still, like a stoic guardian full of will? Dawn of the day with the rise of the sun, as early birds begin to rise from their sleep, filled with energy to go and get things done. They claim that their rhythm is for everyone, that no one in the morning should be asleep. Dawn of the day with the rise of the sun. To rise early, finish early, and have fun. The day is not over, you should not weep, filled with energy to go and get things done. Yet the groggy refuse to go and be one, for why should they awake and go and reap the dawn of the day with the rise of the sun? Circadian rhythm not meant for everyone, and yet that rhetoric they go to keep, while filled with energy to go and get things done. To the nocturnal you would surely stun, as they awake when they begin to sleep, in the dawn of the day with the rise of the sun, now filled with energy to go and get things done. Time of the nocturnal during the night, all while the others remain in their bed. Night owls all begin to enter into sight. Truly a time they hold in their delight, whether goth or an artistic airhead, time of the nocturnal during the night. Some begin to bathe under the moonlight as it shines down on them over their head. Night owls all begin to enter into sight. This should technically be into sight, right? Acting as if it was part of their birthright during a time when best secrets are said, a time of the nocturnal during the night, when stories and dreams are brought to their height with all the ideas they've ever been fed. Night owls all begin to enter into sight. Such a time will always come to excite, as others continue to sleep like the dead. Time of the nocturnal during the night. Night owls all begin to enter into sight. They waste their time as they desire to go hate at all the things they long to go attack, when their time would be better to just create. Perhaps it would be thanks of some kind of fate, allowing the bitterness to begin to crack. They waste their time as they desire to go hate. In their potential, this should not be their state, while each continues to act like a maniac, when their time would be better to just create. If only they could let go of that weight, while they hold their desire to go and smack. They waste their time as they desire to go hate. Even as they are offered a free slate that calls out asking them to come on back, when their time would be better to just create. Yeah, I did not come here to go berate, only to add on to your potential stack. They will They waste. Okay, that was supposed to be. They waste their time as they desire to go and hate when their time would be better to just create. It's always 2 steps forward, 1 step back, in all the things I strive to go and do. I constantly question if there's something I lack. It feels like all my goals are always set back. I watch others succeed in what I strive to. It's always 2 steps forwards and 1 step back. Frustration lingers like it's an attack as I try to scrape and find a single clue. I constantly question if there's something I lack. Then I go out and I go out to act like a maniac before I come back while feeling anew. It's always 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Through my failures, I never cut myself slack, knowing well it won't help me go on through. I constantly question if there's something I lack. But sometimes still yourself needs a good smack for all the disdain that is simply not true. It's always 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I constantly question if there's something I lack. Ghost by the grave with whom I often walk throughout the night and the fog and day, listening to lost history as they talk. There is no need to go possess or stalk when it is my company I'd give away. Ghost by the grave with whom I'd often walk. As a murder of crows come in their flock, intrigued by the attention I send their way, listening to lost history as they talk. If people could see, would they be in shock of the one who listens to what spirits say? Ghosts of the grave with whom I often walk. Voices of terror, some say one must block, but they are not the ones who easily betray, listening to lost history as they talk. There are many things a person could unlock when sitting with the outcast and the stray, ghosts by the grave with whom I often walk, listening to lost history as they talk. Abandoned house alone by the river bay, standing still as time goes passing on by, with memories locked of when children would play, falling into ruin through each passing day, while still kissed by the glow of a moonlit sky, the abandoned house alone by the river bay. Many a tale about it people would say, of the last time someone inside would die, with memories locked of when children would play. Before tests of courage would come its way, for the brave and the bold to go and weigh, in an abandoned house alone by the river bay. There is a beauty held in its slow decay, and all the items that remain to stay, with memories locked of when children would play. In a place once held in a majestic display, where people once would visit every day, in that abandoned house alone by the river bay, with memories locked of when children would play. Acts of kindness are good, whether big or small, like the rising of every single dawn, for a brighter future that always will call. Let's pick up a person when they will fall, so they know there's someone they can count on. Acts of kindness are good, whether big or small. Show that they don't need to drown in alcohol when they're feeling depressed and too far gone, for a brighter future that will always call. For us to show the light of Jesus to all, knowing it was meant to be a marathon, acts of kindness are good, whether big or small. And no one is perfect and has gone a wall. As no one is perfect and has gone a wall, to pull them from the filth they sit upon, for a brighter future that will always call. Even though we may often stand and stall, asking what to say, noticing they're gone, acts of kindness are good, whether big or small, for a brighter future that will always call. Born of a castle came a lonely man, as the people did cry, all praise to the king. There was nothing he could do about his lifespan. No matter how many times killers would plan, there was no pain that death claimed to go bring. Born of a castle came a lonely man. Immortal still as the tides of time would span, listening to every song the bards would sing, there was nothing he could do about his lifespan. Benevolent king for whom people would stand, bringing the unfortunate under his wing. Born of a castle came a lonely man. Eventually they would not know when it began, for his fate was never held on by a string. There was nothing he could do about his lifespan. There is no place here where he could have ran, as people still went and sang long live the king. Born of a castle came a lonely man. There was nothing he could do about his lifespan. Along came a gambling man making a bet, a reaper's disguise for someone to die. He laid the table and the game was set. Such an elegant man you you ever have met. To come upon a place all men must lie. Along came a gambling man making a bet. A chance to come, yet many would still sweat as they'd accept the game, eager to try. He laid the table, and the game was set. There would be no need for a single threat towards the ones who would come in to defy. Along came a gambling man making a bet. No matter the time or even the regret of the people who asked if they could retry, he laid the table and the game was set. And to whom you're dealing with, you mustn't forget the man dressed in a cloak with a smile so wry. Along came a gambling man making a bet. He laid the table and the game was set. To learn patience, temperance must be slow, though within our frustrations we may cry, when in the end you're the tree who would grow. The request we asked before we would know, now trapped here with a growing groaning sigh. To learn patience, temperance must be slow. Like the strike of a blacksmith with every blow, making us feel like we're wanting to die, when in the end you're the tree who would grow. You still sit and ask to be allowed to go. He would look, laugh, and in his wisdom deny. To learn patience, temperance must be slow. There should be a comma between patience and temperance, shouldn't there? Boop, 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 boop. Sometimes one must be taught how to glow, even though they're constantly asking why, when in the end you're the tree who would grow. Eventually to be someone he would show, so we could be someone whom others can rely. To learn patience, temperance must be slow, when in the end you're the tree who would grow. The strike of the forge, and I'm feeling pain, and the place where the weakness comes in to die. We kill our comfort so that we can gain. Some may look and think us to be insane, as they hold no desire to change or try. The strike of the forge, and I'm feeling pain. How else are we supposed to go and obtain the place that holds where all our dreams do lie? We kill our comfort so that we can gain. For this one should not go to try in vain, as the work you get is the work you apply. The strike of the forge, and I'm feeling pain. A place to obsess and come back again and again towards a result where none can deny. We kill our comfort so that we can gain. It matters not whether others look in disdain, in order to be like the eagles of the sky. The strike of the forge, and I'm feeling pain. We kill our comfort so that we can gain. And finally, we are finally on the 100th Villanelle. It has taken almost 2 hours to get here, but we made it. Heaven help us with volume 50. All the people go hail the king and queen, who wave down from the platform they now stand. Such a duo that the world has never seen, who walk the graves where battles have once been, for the ones who now rule over the land. All the people go hail the king and queen, for the prophecy was always foreseen, in a world they all long to go expand. Such a duo that the world has never seen. Honorable rulers for the people to lean, with all the righteous justice they would command. All the people go hail the king and queen, held hidden in the place between the green. Towards all the lost they would extend a hand. Such a duo that the world has never seen. When you have popular rulers of the Fae over the places of magic and beauty so grand, all the people go hail the king and queen, such a duo that the world has never seen. We are done. That is it for volume 40. You will probably see me in you'll see me in the after the fact 4,000 poems after the fact, where I talk about that experience and everything that went down. You're also probably going to see me react to some stuff potentially, but until I complete the next 1,000 poems and reach volume 50, you're not going to see the next 10 essentially videos. Oh, there's going to be one major splice thing, but you're not going to see the next videos until the next 10 videos, that is, until volume 50. So with that being said, I will see you guys later. Bye.